Hello everyone, this is Dapuzü from Trinity School, Kohima. Today we will learn a new lesson called The Battle of Kohima of Class 8, Lesson 4, and the subject is Alternative English. Our content analysis of the lesson are the Allied powers and the Axis powers, Yugo, the bloody tennis court battle, and finally Japan's retreat. So, the Battle of Kohima was fought during World War II between British and Commonwealth troops and Japan. World War II was a global war fought between the powers, the Allied powers and the Axis powers. The Allied powers was formed by Great Britain, France, Soviet Union, United States of America, and China. The Axis power consisted of Japan, Germany, and Italy. India and Burma, now Myanmar, being under the British Empire, came under the Allied groups. The Battle of the World came closer home with the Japanese invasion and occupation of Burma in 1942. Burma was then governed as part of British India. The Japanese imperialists had two reasons for attacking Kohima. First is that Kohima, being located on a ridge, was a strategic location for them to form a base and use it as a gateway to further plan their invasion into mainland India through Assam. Secondly, it was to prevent the British from recapturing Burma by cutting off the Kohima-Imphal road, which joined Burma. This would stop supply and reinforcement from reaching the British corps at Imphal. The Japanese plan to invade India was codenamed Yugo. Although the original plan of Yugo was only to hold back the British from retaking Burma, later on, at the behest of Lieutenant General Renha Mutaguchi, the plan was enlarged to invade India as well. Starting on 15th of March 1944, the Japanese 31st Division, commanded by Lieutenant General Kotoka Sato, crossed Burma. They came cutting through dense jungle path. In spite of enduring very harsh conditions, they made swift progress and reached southern Kohima on 3rd of April. By 4th of April, the Battle of Kohima had begun. They took the British forces by surprise. The garrison of Kohima, which comprised of the West Kent Regiment and a battalion of Assam Regiment, commanded by Colonel Hugh Richard, was outnumbered. They stood 1,500 men against 15,000 Japanese Imperial Army. The Japanese 31st Division, composed of the 58th Regiment, the 124th Regiment, 138th Regiment, and 31st Mountain Artillery Regiment. On top of this, the Japanese troops were battle-hardened. They moved quickly and captured all the surrounding areas of Kohima, pushing the defenders of Kohima into a small area around Garrison Hill. The British Army had to fight off this sudden attack with a heavy disadvantage of their side. Kohima being considered an outpost, the British had never expected an attack there. Hence, Their troops stationed there were small in number and inexperienced. Their shortage of men had to be made up by about 1,000 non competent staff. Every hand available, including cooks and drivers, had to be roped in to fend off the enemy. Soon the British forces held only to two key positions: the Garrison Hill, Raj Bhavan area, and the tennis court area, now Kohima War Cemetery. From these two key posts, they managed to fire their artillery against the Japanese troops. With the Japanese surrounding them, the condition within the garrison became very difficult. There was acute shortage of drinking water, and proper shelter was not available even for the wounded, who had to lie in the open. The Japanese troops soon captured the deputy commissioner's bungalow. From then on, the battle shifted right above his house into the tennis court, which witnessed one of the most bloody and savage battles were ever fought. By now, the two opponents were so close to each other that fierce hand-to-hand combat was fought in the midst of snipers' shots and exploding mortars, shells, and grenades. Trenches and bunkers of each party were just a few meters away, that grenades were lobbed into each other's bunker easily. Most of this battle was fought in pitch darkness after sundown. That were that there had been frequent instances of combatants crawling into the enemy's bunkers by mistake, leading to brutal scuffles. This being the final and fiercest part of the battle, it came to be known as the Battle of the Tennis Court. The battle on the tennis court continued to be indecisive until on 13th of May, a British tank managed to make its way into the court, destroying the Japanese bunkers and trenches in its wake. This succeeded in holding back the Japanese forces until the British reinforcement came in the nick of time. The 161st Indian Brigades and 5th Brigades of the British 2nd Division came and together they counterattacked the Japanese forces. The Royal Air Force too played an important role in flying and supplying supplies of men and evacuating the casualties. The condition within the Japanese army, on the other hand, was also getting desperate. Their food supply was running too low. The 5,000 oxen had bought to be slaughtered, as Russian had mostly perished on the way. They had to foray locally for food in a hostile environment where the locals were not inclined to help them, as they themselves faced a shortage of food. Their supply was non existent for them, as their airfield in Burma had been bombed by Allied forces. With their men already starving, ammunition running low, and the British forces growing stronger with reinforcement, they decided to retreat. The battle officially came to an end on 22nd of June 1944. Both sides had lost a huge number of men, but much more so on the Japanese side. About 4,000 men were lost on the British Indian side, while the casualty was doubled on the Japanese side. However, to the Japanese, The loss was devastating as it was the worst defeat in their military history. They lost men not only in the battlefield but on their retreat back to the east. They lost much more men, as many are said to have dropped off dead from starvation, exhaustion, disease, or taking their own lives. So that's it for the lesson. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe from COVID 19, and keep learning.